Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we have the Zeta, designed by Elijah Isham, made by in China. One of two that they are doing with him right now. I will have a review of the other one coming up shortly, and it will be in the size comparison videos. Wanted to start with this one because it is the newest, and there aren't that many reviews of it out on YouTube yet. There are some of the prototypes, but there aren't many of the actual production one. This is a full-on production version. Limited run of only 700. They retail for $299.20 currently on GP Knives. This one is numbered somewhere. I can't remember where it was. It is. It's like, oh, there it is. It's very, very tiny. But if I'm reading right, that's what, 335 to 700, something like that. It doesn't really matter. But this is a full-on actual production one. M390 steel, titanium frame lock with some carbon fiber overlay / inserts. I guess you call it an overlay. It is titanium all inside here. Very, very cool design. As I said, it's more sane for him. It's a much more sane design for Elijah Isham. He does a lot of really crazy stuff, and this one is actually a real usable EDC knife. The only thing that makes it not usable every day is the fact that there's only 700 of them. That's it. Even the price, $299.20. I carry a Sabenza all the time. It costs more than that. So even the price, I wouldn't say knocks it out of the realm. I will digress just a little bit here and say I want to thank, I'm not going to name him because I don't know if he wants me to name him, but one of my viewers loaned me this and a couple of other very cool pricey knives that you were going to see coming up in the size comparisons. And that's going to be a new playlist we have on here. Please, by the way, if you don't check out on this site, or on this YouTube channel, please check out our playlists. I do try and keep things pretty organized so you can watch, Spyderco videos or Benchmade or whatever. I got them all split up, or just all of my reviews. There's going to be a new one called Slicey Dicey Pricey Knifey, which my son came up with that name for it. And it's going to be knives that are like in this price range, that $250, $275 and up kind of price range. So this is not a budget channel by any means, but I don't usually do many knives. It's expensive. Mostly because I can't afford them, and I want to appeal to the masses. And there are guys who know a lot more about customs and stuff than me, and I'm just not. I don't think I'm qualified to talk about those. But this is a and I do know a lot about so that's why I wanted to review this one. And Elijah Isham, cool guy, very, very young. I believe he's like in his early 20s. And again, this is his kind of EDC sort of design, and still has whole lots of style, as you can see. Very, very cool looking knife. Let's get into the specs before we get into the quality and the aesthetics section of the review. Overall length 8.5 inches. You have a blade length of 3.65 inches. Blade thickness 0.16, so a bit thick, but not dramatically so. Just it's actually pretty average. It's just a little thicker than like a Spyderco or something. You have a handle thickness of 0.53, so pretty much average, and a weight of 4.1 ounces, also pretty much average for a knife this size. Let's do a few size comparisons. Now, these are not going to be my usual size comparisons. I'm going to use some loaners in this because this is an expensive knife, and I want to compare it to knives that I think you would consider whilst thinking about this one. First of all, we'll start out with another Elijah Isham design. This is the Eschaton. See, that's crazy time, Elijah Isham. This is use it every day, Elijah Isham. So you can see some dramatic changes there. This thing it's cool as hell, but you can tell there's a whole lot of difference. That review that will be coming up. Another one that will be coming up in the next several days, maybe even before the Eschaton. This is the Todd Begg Steelcraft Glimpse. Pretty similarly priced knives, kind of the same thing. This is a knife. I mean, their normal Todd Begg is very, very expensive. This is about $350, so it's something you might actually carry around. And we will also compare another knife kind of getting up into this price range. You have your Zeta 0452. And for consistency's sake, we will compare it to the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. I'm going to use my one with my custom carbon scales from Shepherd CC because I got to class the place up for this. This is a pretty classy knife. I don't want to use my lowly S110V Blurple version, so yeah. All right, there's your size comparisons out of the way. Let's talk about the quality of this knife. It is very, very good. It is your typical high-end which means great. I mean, I have no issues with quality whatsoever. Everything is good. Blade centering is very good. No blade play whatsoever. Lockup is great. I do like this little touch. It's kind of cool. You can see the dramatic. It does have an insert, a lock bar insert, stainless steel lock bar insert, so you don't get it stuck or have it wear out. But it's very large for that. It's a very swoopy thing. It's almost the thickness of like a liner lock, but it's still small enough that I think that it's still a very solid lockup. You can still do, if you want to do something fairly heavy duty with a limited edition knife, you could. It's a very secure knife. Aesthetically, this is weird. I almost think it looks better closed than it does open, which I hardly ever say that about a knife, but you just look at it from this side, and I'm a total nerd, but it just looks like an X-Wing cockpit, which I think is kind of neat. To me anyway. But I watch too much Star Wars, I guess. But it's very, 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 very good looking. I love all the way, like the way the Wii logo on the pivot just has that nice little milling around it. Yeah, everything is very smooth. All the joins are extremely smooth. And also on the quality front, nope, star screws. It's just got torque screws. Yay! I didn't tear this apart because it is not mine and it's a limited edition. But God bless them. I'm imagining, because the Eschaton has them too, that maybe Elijah demanded that, but I'm not sure about that. No billboarding on the blade whatsoever. All you've got is the little numbering on it. I don't know if you can see that because it's very, very tiny. But there is the numbering. What is that? I can't even read it on there. 335 out of 700. And when you close the blade, you can see that it says M390. Other than that, nothing. And then the Wii logo on the pivot. Super cool. I do really like that. Yeah, overall I really like the looks of it. I'm okay with this blade. It is kind of it's a bit aggressive looking for my personal taste, and that the opening hole is very large, but it is an actual good slicer. It really is. It's very thin behind the edge. I measured. I didn't cut a whole lot with it because again, limited knife and not mine, but it does slice pretty well. I do have to say I'm pretty impressed. It works really well. Very good sharpening choil on it. M390, you're not going to complain about that. The tip is a little fine. I mean, you wouldn't want to be stabbing into too much with it, but obviously, knife like this, if you're stabbing into stuff with a knife this rare and this pricey, then you have more money than sense anyway, and there's nothing I can do to convince you otherwise. But I really do like it. Also, ergonomically, it feels pretty good in the hand. It's not mind-blowingly great, but it's pretty good. It's it's a thinner handle for sure, and with my really long fingers, I am wrapping all the way around it. I do have to admit that, but there are no hot spots or anything, and your hands aren't going to go forward. There's no grippy, no jimping on this thing anywhere, but I don't think this is really that kind of knife, but your hand will move forward, or won't move forward on it though, because of, you've got this nice little finger choil up here. You can't choke up on it, obviously. That's just a sharpening choil, but and the blade is wide enough. If you want to do some fine stuff, you can still put some pressure down on there. There's just no jimping to hold your thumb in that spot. But yeah, ergonomically, it's good. It's not outstanding. Ironically, I would call the crazy ass Eschaton better ergonomically. This thing feels actually pretty darn good in the hand. I was really surprised by that. It doesn't look like it would. It looks like it'd be the most uncomfortable thing ever, but it actually works. Maybe the Klingons were right. Carry. It carries very well too. It's a pretty deep pocket clip. And this pocket clip is actually pretty amazing. I hope the camera's picking this up. If you look in there, it's milled out so that it moves the knife to the one side, and it works really, really well. It's fairly deep carry. You've only got that much sticking out, and if it's right hand only, but when you stick it in your pocket, it angles the knife out of the way, and when you're sliding your hand in your pocket, you just got to go by that, and there's no sharp edges or anything on it. You can definitely get stuff in and out of your pocket past it. Super easy. I swear, a guy who loaned it to me, I only put soft things in my pocket. I didn't want to scratch it, but yeah, it works great, and I'm quite happy with the carry. I really, really am. I think it carries very well. definitely a totally EDC-able knife, and actually a pretty darn good one. It's not even just acceptable because it's because some fancy knives, some crazy stuff, you just say, oh, it's acceptable because there's other great things about it. This would be acceptable carry for anybody. This is pretty good, and I really like the way it carries. Probably one of my favorite things about the knife. Now, deployment. Elijah does use this. It's not a front flipper, but this kind of forward flipper instead of it sticking out the side, and it is very tiny. And it does take, if you're using the flipper, it does take a bit of practice to get it to rocket out consistently, and it never really rockets out. It's not easy to pinch the lock bar, but you can if you're not thinking about it. And it's not the detent. The detent's pretty good. It's just that flipper doesn't have enough torque on it, because when you want to spidey flick it, every time like that, I use the deployment hole more than I use that flipper when I've been sitting here playing with it. As far as the smoothness, oh my lord, nothing to complain about there. Totally falls shut. Yeah, like I said, I usually spidey flick it more than I use the tab or thumb flick it, but it does deploy very well. The detent is actually pretty good. It's just that I wish that tab was either a bit longer or something. I don't know. But other than that, it's super smooth. You cannot complain about the smoothness. One of the smoothest knives I've ever actually used in deployment, other than another one I've got coming up in a little bit. But very, very good. No complaints with the deployment. Honestly, really, no real complaints with the knife. I mean, $299.20. Is it expensive? Yeah, but it's not nuts. It's not as much as a Sebenza or something like that. And yes, we as a Chinese company, but they are the Chinese company. They make amazing stuff for a whole lot of people. Elijah Isham is a very up-and-coming guy. He's very young. He's going to have more cool designs. This is one of 700. I could totally envision this going up in value if you bought it and just held on to it. But if you also just wanted to buy it and use it, people use more expensive knives. It's up to you. That's your own financial decision. It is limited edition, but it is a very, very usable knife, and I really like that. And I really hope to see more of Isham's designs that are in this more kind of usable genre, and that's kind of the way Wii's going. I think, like the Wii Ignition that I reviewed a while ago that I love so much, I do kind of feel like they are trying to do more usable, like not all their stuff's usable, but I mean, they just they're trying to do more conservative, I guess is the word I'm looking for, kind of designs. And this is Elijah Isham doing a bit more of a conservative design, and I really like it. Very happy I got my hands on it. Thanks again to Mystery Guy. If you want to disclose yourself down below, knock yourself out, but I'm not going to do it. And we have some more cool stuff like this coming up. And once we have a few more, check out the Slicey Dicey Pricey Knifey playlist. As I said, you can still buy this, but I'd highly suggest you jump on it. I'm going to put a link down to GP Knives below where it's currently available. If you really think, oh, this is cool, I might actually use this and want one, snap one up quick. I've been Brian. Have a good one.